This is the weekend edition of Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, our weekend show is all about the two of us each nominating what we think is the biggest business story of the week, the most remarkable story, our favourite story, and normally, well, historically, we have also done the sleeper story, which is one that's flying under the radar. But we have a little surprise for our colleague, our esteemed colleague who judges the competition every week. Our judge is Fear and Greed's own Adam Lang. Hello, Adam.
Hello, Michael.
So we've made a change.
Good.
Oh, sorry, Sean. Sean would like to be greeted as well.
Oh. Sorry. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Adam.
So we've made a change. And it's a surprise change. And the motivation for this, actually, before I tell you about the change, Can you tell us about what you're looking for in today's story?
Okay. Particularly since you don't even know what the categories are. Let us know how you're judging
Okay,
them.
well, yeah. In separation of knowing the categories, obviously topicality, timeliness, because we're very news-based, business news-based.
Yeah.
We want economic impact, really. So we want to understand why these stories are important. I would love you to play into my subjective bias. And also dial it up a bit on melodrama.
Okay. All right. I reckon I can tick all of those boxes. Oh, I'm actually just
writing them down,
ticking them as we
It
go.
hasn't changed for 5 years and you're still writing them down.
Yeah, I know, but I have to keep reminding myself of, in theory, what Adam is looking for.
Yeah, that's true.
So when we get to the sleeper story, or where the sleeper story would normally be, we've got a surprise.
Okay.
That's probably building it up a bit much.
But we have colluded, decided.
Yep.
Actually, that's not true. I was browbeaten into it by Michael because he hates the sleeper story.
Yeah.
I have a history of losing the sleeper story.
Does this play into my love of reform?
Oh, no.
Changing a category?
Oh, I get points for that.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Let's just get into it then.
Yep. You'll find out what it is when
the
we
biggest
get there.
story of the week. You go first. Sean.
Righto. So last week I was criticised for doing results. There was about 47 results, I believe, in the
You
one
were justly
story.
criticised.
Unfair, but I take it on board. The single biggest story of the week, by a country mile, WiseTech Global. Not so much the result of WiseTech Global, but the return of the king, King Richard, founder of the company, driver of ideas, and a person who has faced 6 months of allegations from women who worked with him over the years. In at least one case, Richard White has gifted a former lover a $7 million house on Melbourne's waterfront. But Richard White is back running WiseTech. Now, on Monday, 4 independent directors quit, including the chair. The quote was, they were quitting because intractable differences in the board and differing views around the ongoing role of the founder and founding CEO, Richard White. Basically, we find out who's winning this battle, the person who owns 38% of the company or the directors. When they resigned, the share price lost 20% in 2 trading sessions. Then on Wednesday, they had the results, announced that Richard White would become executive chair. When you own 38%, it's hard to battle against that. Now, the fact that he was back, you would think might see the share price jump. It didn't, only went up about 2%. It didn't bounce. So I think that's really significant. This is the biggest test for corporate governance in this country in a long time.
7.
7 longs.
7 longs.
Yeah.
That was about 6 too many.
At Senate estimates in Canberra, the boss of ASIC, Joe Longo, said the regulator is very interested in what has happened. In fact, ASIC's already kicked off preliminary inquiries. Longo said there's been extraordinary manoeuvres at board level. WiseTech Global is a share market darling, has been for years. It's got a founder who has done an incredible job over 31 years to build this company. It's a technology that pretty much no one has. Second biggest tech company in Australia behind Atlassian. Yet, money seems to overwhelm governance in this. And I can't remember such a clear-cut's totally the wrong word, a story where someone who has had allegations against them effectively been stood down by the board, and then the whole board, or the independent board, has resigned so he can come back. Massive story we're going to hear about for months.
Yeah.
Beat that.
It is a great
Squirrel.
story. It is an extraordinary story. There's a certain irony in the fact that you made a long story even longer by repeating the word long 7 times. But it was a good story. Right. It's not the biggest story, though, because the biggest story is the fact, Adam, and I just ignore Sean now. I just look straight at you. You have quite an intense stare. So,
And gesturing.
yes. I'm going to put my hands in my pockets. Adam, the biggest story of this week is the fact that the election campaign is on.
No, really, this week it started.
Well, it's not officially. I mean, it's
So it wasn't on last
Did
week.
I miss an announcement?
I mean, it's an unofficial start, but it's one that I have identified as taking place this week. It happened at midday on Tuesday. Actually, there's no particular point at which it started. It may as well be on, right? After the week that we just had. It started with polls showing the coalition has opened up a 50... He is cheating. Adam, I don't know who I'm complaining to here. Penalise him. So just for the benefit of anyone who is not looking at the video of this, Adam and Sean are standing very close, side by side, in the studio. And Sean just scooched over just a little bit closer, just so that he could see what Adam was writing down as he was taking notes. And then Sean took Adam's pen and has started making notes on the score sheet. And it feels like this is in class and you've just written something rude about me.
Well, and it's also unprecedented. We've never had this sort of engagement. It's quite a change.
I'm helping Adam.
But it's constructive criticism.
I mean,
Michael.
some of his judging is appalling. So I'm just helping the bloke.
Trying to improve it.
It's for the audience's sake.
Any intervention is an improvement. Okay, all right. But look, anyway, the polls, if I can get back on track.
Please.
We'll see.
Please.
It's a question.
So
really.
where are we? We're 3 minutes into Michael's story and we don't actually know anything about it yet. Go on.
It is entirely your fault, right? 52 to 48%. The coalition is now leading, two-party preferred basis. The current modelling shows the coalition winning 70 seats, the ALP winning 67 seats, 13 crossbenchers. We may be in, ladies and gentlemen, for a change in government. Oh, yeah. What?
Oh, God.
The faces
that was an
two-
encouraging look.
I don't want your encouragement. I just want your points. Just focus on your page
It's like
and just.
Transvision Vamp. I don't want your money, honey. I want your love.
You know, that was just tumbleweeds.
I've got no idea what that even means. Adam has a gift. Was that? Did you know that song as well?
Yeah. I don't want your money, honey. I want your love.
Okay, all right. It's a
Global hit.
It's a generational
thing.
And you haven't missed a thing.
No, okay. Look, can I please just finish this quickly?
Please.
The fact is, right, after the polling came through, we then had a very election campaign style story, right? This is the most clear signifier that you will ever have that we are in the election campaign right now. Opposition leader Peter Dutton being forced to defend purchases of bank stocks 15 years ago, right? This is a day before the government announced a bailout package. Over here, please. Stop talking. But don't show him notes.
Well, I just showed him, right? So I've got your notes in front of me. And the really sad thing, you're about a quarter of the way through your notes. I was just pointing that out to Adam.
Okay. Peter Dutton bought bank stocks the day before there was a federal government bailout of the sector in the GFC. This is 15 years ago, right? And so he had to come out this week and defend himself and say he did nothing wrong, that he acted with integrity. There was more stories about all of his property assets bought and sold over the last couple of decades, the use of a trust for those assets, again, saying he didn't do anything wrong. But it's one of those stories that just makes a leader look bad, particularly in a housing crisis, particularly in a cost of living crisis. It's like, as Sean made the point through the week, it is like Albo's kind of multi-million-dollar house purchase. It is just an optics thing. And so it is a very, very election campaign style story. Finally, don't interrupt.
He's much more interesting when he's not actually telling the story. Like when he's playing it up.
Well,
yeah.
no, I'm not playing it up. I'm telling you
Firing up.
the facts.
Hit us with the facts.
Finally.
Yes.
Finally, we had Chinese warships off the coast of Australia doing live firing exercises that nobody knew about. Someone did know about it. It was a Virgin Australia pilot. I just realised how loud I was getting. So I get very passionate in here. It's a studio of passion. Actually, it's not a studio of passion. I retract that. I'll never mention that again. Virgin Australia pilot was the one who alerted Air Services Australia when they heard a warning from the Chinese ships half an hour after the live firing exercise had started. 49 aircraft had to be diverted, right? This is a diplomatic crisis on our doorstep. WiseTech is a big story. Yes, granted.
No. There's no rebutting of other people's stories.
I'm not rebutting because I'm not going to argue that it's not a big story. But does it affect every one of us?
I'm not going to, but
does it affect every one of us? It does not.
Yeah,
it does not.
Because these Chinese airstrikes affected me big time.
What does affect every one of us is the upcoming election and Chinese aggression. Easily the biggest story of the year, week. Maybe today.
Show.
Adam.
So I found the governance issue of WiseTech Global quite fascinating. Now, it's not just a governance issue in the sense of behaviour, right? He does own a massive portion of the company. He is also, beyond that, structurally so important to the company's well-being, right? So, and what they've shown is really, as a board governance, we can't get rid of him because the value of the whole company is so tied to him, despite these misbehaviours, right? So I think there is a structural question on the company as to succession planning as well. Like, have they got the wherewithal to get through this beyond him? So,
it's a good point.
Incredibly important story. I think
I'm gone.
I'm gone. Michael, these are also a collection of very, very interesting stories.
Collection.
But there is a massive but here.
You've gone.
It's like same old, just another week. The election
totally
didn't get called.
The same old warships off the coast, same old pilot going, hey, there's a ship.
Virgin Australia here.
There's a ship that's firing down there.
Sean wins.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
One interesting thing, did you notice how much, and again, playing to the Albo kind of side and the fact that he is on the nose, and that I know there's been a slight improvement lately in his popularity in the polls. But have you noticed that Jim Chalmers is getting a lot more airtime lately?
True.
That there is a lot more.
But it is a good point.
There is a lot more coverage of him and a lot more in terms of kind of profile pieces talking about how smart he is, how good an operator he is, how he understands
this weekend,
the
one of
issues.
the major outlets have got a big piece on Jim Chalmers.
Yeah. And there's been a few bits and pieces, suddenly him popping up. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. It's a very difficult process for the Labor Party to change leaders. Now they changed those a number of years ago as to how they do that. But it does feel like there's just a
succession planning.
I don't think it's anything about leadership change. I just think they realise that Albo himself is a liability in some sectors, enough. And so you need to elevate the next one or two, but I don't think it's like a
bench strength.
Okay, all right, moving on. 1-0, I think it was. Most remarkable. I will go first and I will go quickly. I know that I say this a lot, but it was a remarkable week.
Yes. For what?
For the aviation sector.
No, get out of here.
We're talking about planes. In fact, we can actually narrow it down to just one day. In fact, 1 hour within that day, because there were two momentous occasions. Number one was all about Qantas, right? Qantas's turnaround is complete. You heard it here first. A jump in half-year profit, but significantly, the first time it has paid a dividend, or it will pay a dividend to shareholders since COVID. There you go, huh? Jetstar's performance was a highlight. They had Project Sunrise non-stop from Sydney or Melbourne to London, New York, still on track for next year. The share price is up 80% over the last year. You've got to say, CEO Vanessa Hudson has done a pretty solid job of recovering the airline, helping it to recover from where Alan Joyce left it, where there was battles all over the place with customers, with regulators, everyone, shareholders. But it was a big hour, as I mentioned, for aviation, because no sooner had the Qantas results been released than Treasurer Jim Chalmers, here he is again, popping up. I'm getting too loud today, I'm sorry. And he was announcing that the government had approved Qatar taking a 25% stake in Virgin Australia. And what does that mean? It means that from June, Virgin is back in the long haul business.
Baby, back.
Baby. Go on, give us an obscure song from the 70s, Adam, that fits this. Maybe that's what we should do. We should just start feeding him lines and he's got to give us a
So
song.
Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back.
Okay, that'll do. That's all right.
Is that the, like, Baby Got Back?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? So Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah.
So Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah.
That's a very audio sort of reference, isn't it? So Mix-a-Lot.
It's all hand skills.
Sorry,
those
I
days.
think Michael was talking.
I was nearly finished. Virgin is back, long haul. Customers like you,
It is a long haul.
You and me, we are going to be the winners in all of this. Significantly, Qantas said that they would not oppose kind of any new competition with Virgin, wouldn't be kind of lobbying behind the scenes. That shows just how complete the turnaround is from the Alan Joyce days now with Vanessa Hudson welcoming
Yes, amazing.
this competition. It was, don't say anything.
No, I won't.
It's just enough.
Yep.
Enough from you and enough from you. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do this show myself next week. I'll judge myself. A far cry from the protests, the lobbying of the old Qantas, a remarkable hour in a remarkable week for a very exotic and, dare I say it, very sexy sector. Everyone loves planes. Do they not?
Yeah, no, I love planes. I'm with you on that.
Would you describe them
As sexy?
as sexy?
Well, in terms of machinery, they probably are.
Yeah, it's like better than like a combine harvester. Or something.
Tough competition.
Hold on.
I accidentally chose the second sexiest piece of machinery just then, didn't I?
Combine harvester.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What category are we doing? Because that had nothing to do with anything.
Sexiest.
Remarkable.
business.
Remarkable.
Oh, that's it. Yep.
Okay. So my remarkable story, really, is just how unremarkable the word remarkable is nowadays. Unfortunately, Donald Trump has lessened the value of the word remarkable. Pretty much everything he does by normal standards is remarkable. So what's now remarkable is that the word remarkable is no longer remarkable. I will highlight this. This week we had threats to impose 25% tariffs on the EU. We had confusion over the Canada and Mexico tariffs. Wouldn't they? By the end of the week, Trump had come out and said, yep, they're starting next week and there's going to be another 10% on top of the 10% China's already got. We had a cabinet meeting where Elon Musk took centre stage. He gained Trump's plaudits to the point that Trump effectively threatened people in the cabinet that they're in trouble if they didn't say Elon Musk was a really good bloke. It was just weird. An incredible email from Elon Musk to bureaucrats telling him to list what they've done in the last week. We had the US siding with Russia by forcing the US to withdraw a UN motion condemning Moscow's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, a deal between the US and Ukraine over access to minerals. Though what that means in terms of security, who knows? We had the US gold Visa card, $5 million. No problems. You get a social security number. We had a ban on unfriendly media from the White House. All of these things are remarkable in a normal world. But remarkable no longer carries it. What was the most remarkable thing? And Michael pointed this one out to me. The handshake between French President Emmanuel Macron and Trump. It lasted a long time.
Don't do it.
15 seconds.
It was a tug of war, wasn't it?
And they're putting their hands on each other's shoulder.
Yeah,
And then then they had this press conference. It was very awkward. I actually thought Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, did a better job.
Yeah.
Because he managed to stand there and it was sort of a gritted teeth moment, but he actually stood up to Trump somewhat around how Putin should be regarded with respect to Ukraine and Russia. So he did a better job. The point of all this.
It was like Love Actually. You know the movie?
Yes.
When Hugh Grant as the
Yes.
British PM stands up to the US president. It's exactly the same.
Yeah. And then, but what I thought was interesting with Keir Starmer.
Identical.
Identical. Is he stood up to Trump, but Trump then went over the top about how close the UK and US were, more so than the French. Now, I dare say Donald Trump doesn't like the Europeans quite as much as he likes the Brits. I did like the fact also he didn't know what AUKUS was, so they asked him about AUKUS in a press conference.
It is a difficult
They asked him
word.
about the AUKUS, and he said, "What's that?"
He thought they were talking about the killer whales, the orcas. It was like, shamoo. Yeah.
That's giving him a little too much credit,
I'm
Michael.
sorry.
Anyway, it's remarkable how unremarkable the remarkable things that Donald Trump is doing. That's my remarkable story for the week.
Okay, I'm vexed on this one because all of those things are incredibly remarkable.
But that's the point. They're not remarkable anymore.
Well, yeah,
Because they're
okay,
Donald Trump world.
redefine remarkable, right?
Yeah.
So
Those planes are remarkable. How do they stay in the air?
How that is remarkable.
Like, those things are-
I get the idea. You take off and the air pressure, but
But they're
no.
made of metal.
Yeah.
Like,
So you know what I do when you're driving in a car? I put the window down if you're going over 60 kilometres an hour and 80 kilometres, and you put your hand out the window. And you let your hand get taken off like that.
Yep.
That's the only. So then when I get on a plane, because I'm a nervous flyer,
Yeah.
I think to myself, there I am.
Wish I could put my hand out the window.
Well, I'd like to. And I'm thinking, well, it's going 220 Ks, 230 Ks at lift off. Yeah, it'll be okay.
You're gone.
We'll get
I'll
off the
myself
ground.
through it. Yeah.
Good work.
Oh,
Good self-coaching.
Anyway, sorry, a little bit
So,
sharing a little too much.
no, this is good.
Michael, at one point you said, I judge myself. So just as musical reference, of course, the Divinals' great hit, I Touch Myself, which I think was very, very close.
I'm sorry.
So-
Too
far?
No. I mean, the great Chrissy
Amphlett.
beautiful voice, died far too early.
What a front person.
Unbelievable,
God.
but totally irrelevant to this conversation.
Very well.
Just trying show off
Back
my
to the
knowledge.
category. Michael wins because it crystallized in a single hour.
Yeah.
I thought those two things, and about to your points, Michael, how far we've come in 12 months were indeed remarkable. And we win. Like, we'll get cheaper airfares out of this. It's so
we
good
haven't
for competition.
we haven't been speaking about the Virgin Qatar thing until this week. Is what you're trying to say?
Yep. Pretty much.
This single hour this week was important because it was approved. The 25% purchase and the announcement of the results.
I love the fact that it was 1 hour and it took me nearly as long to do the story. It pretty much did the story in real time. Kind of as people found out about it on Tuesday. I told you about it on Saturday.
Blow by blow.
All right. Okay. 1-1. I think we can all be pleasantly surprised by that.
I'm certainly surprised.
Yes. Okay. All right. We'll take a quick break and come back with our mystery category. All right, Sean, we would normally be looking for a sleeper story here, but we have done away with the sleeper story for this week. And instead, we have introduced the mystery category. In the
And I think we need to explain that every week it'll be a different category.
Okay.
So we're not just having, well, in a moment we'll tell you this week's category, but we are colluding ahead of time to tell you what the category is. But
Favourite
It's
statistic?
not consistent. It could be.
It could be. I mean, it's
In
highly
fact,
unlikely.
I mean, if
but
there's
it
any
might.
listeners out there who would like to get in touch with
Good.
us,
Nominate a category for us to do. But the thing is, yes, Sean and I will pick one
we
of those.
could do like the category most likely to irritate Adam.
That's a good one.
Perfect.
The category most likely to suck up.
Yes. Oh, we should also do a category where the story must be done in just one sentence.
In a haiku.
Oh, that's
Or a
cool.
what about a limerick?
A limerick.
Oh, let's do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so any suggestions, any ideas, please get in
Yep,
touch.
yep.
Go to our website, fearandgreed.com.au.
Anyway, Michael, the category this week.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The category this week. It is the most ridiculous story. Because Sean and I were talking about it. We're just like, God, there's been some ridiculous stories around this week. And we thought, this will surprise Adam. Let's see him apply his
Well,
somewhat...
this is a storytelling battle because so many things are ridiculous. It's going to be
Yeah, maybe I should have had that.
down to
My
the
most
performance.
remarkable should have been the most ridiculous category. Yes, but we still want to stay on track in terms of what we are at heart at Fear and Greed.
business news.
No,
Glorious
three dodgy
business
blokes trying to earn a living.
Good. That's true.
My most ridiculous story this
you're going
week.
first, eh?
Oh, would you like to go first?
No, that's fine. You're in.
It was my turn.
Fine.
The absolute rush, most ridiculous, the absolute rush to reverse good governance, climate change, stuff like that going on around the world at the moment. We had a story. General Motors, Porsche, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, over the past few weeks have decided to invest in internal combustion engines, hybrid models, even as they try and increase the rollout of electric cars, electric vehicles. But essentially they've shifted back to ICE, internal combustion engines, for those who didn't know, and to hybrids away from EVs. We had giant BP dumping all premise of shifting to green energy It's abandoned its 5-year attempt to reinvent itself. It's just going to be an oil and gas company, isn't it? It's going to boost spending by about 20% on oil and gas to $10 billion a year, cutting spending on renewables by 70%. That's a huge amount, Adam, 70%. Basically, they just said it hasn't worked.
Don't let him lecture you.
We're
Adam.
we're ditching fossil fuel production targets. We're ditching kind of the plan to get gigawatts of renewable power. We're just an oil and gas company. That's what we're doing. Woodside Energy's Meg O'Neill, bring it home. She was asked about Donald Trump's comments, like drill, baby, drill. Is that helpful to the oil and gas sector? And she's like, mate, maybe a little bit. Oh, come on. Even you could throw in, I reckon, the WiseTech Global stuff that we've been talking about. Would they be as emboldened in a non-Donald Trump world to do what they did? Don't know. They're all couching it in terms of shareholder value, customer value, those sorts of things. But the reverse ferreting at the moment is just ridiculous. It is
great term.
Reverse ferreting. Yeah, now that I remember where that comes from, I probably shouldn't have said it. Anyway, most ridiculous. What corporates are doing? What corporates are doing at the moment in terms of some of these governance climate change issues? Ridiculous. Michael.
Adam, it is quite ridiculous. Frankly, ridiculous. That this week we have had the largest ever theft ever in history.
Was it the largest?
Ever.
Right.
And nobody's talking about
As in
it.
a peak?
Crypto or golden toilet?
Wait.
It's a good point, though.
Crypto.
Oh, God.
You didn't have to wait long. Crypto exchange Bybit was hacked, and an estimated $2.4 billion of crypto of Ethereum was taken. That's about 1.45 billion US. Just gone. Poof. Into the night. Into the night. I'm assuming it was during the night. Just gone. And the thing is, this is not just the biggest crypto theft in history, bigger than the $661 million US stolen in an incident in 2021. It is
that nasty 2021 incident.
I think I might have talked about it in the weekend edition then. It is the biggest heist in history.
Cracking word.
Heist.
Yeah, heist.
Bigger, according to The Guardian, than the $1 billion that was stolen by Saddam Hussein from Iraq's central bank before the war in 2003. Isn't that fascinating? And wait, it gets worse.
No. It gets more ridiculous.
It does.
It's a category.
It gets increasingly ridiculous. The more I talk, the more ridiculous I sound.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever said anything more true, right? Because guess who stole the crypto?
Tell us, Michael.
According to the FBI, it was North Korea. North Korea stole the crypto. They've got a very sophisticated cybercrime unit called the Lazarus Group, and they've stolen huge sums, massive sums, extraordinary sums.
But nowhere near, never had a heist as big as this one.
Ever. Ever.
Because this is the biggest heist
in history, ever.
Heist in
They've
history.
stolen huge sums in the past, and you know what that money has gone to in the past? North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. So not only, right, this is how ridiculous this story is. Not only are we dealing with the biggest theft in history, it is probably being used to fund a dictator's nuclear missile program. The whole story is ridiculous to the point that it sounds like I've made it up, but I haven't. I just think this, it defines ridiculous.
Ridiculosity.
Ridiculous. Oh, why did I follow you into that just then? Adam.
I wonder if ridiculous category is a great fodder for movie scripts, because both of them, these stories, are just fantastic. You remember The Italian Job, right? But think about the contemporary version of the Lazarus Project.
I'm going to say that one story lends itself to a movie better than the other one.
Oh.
I can't imagine a movie about...
All the President's Men, another piece of dramatic genius.
This isn't about which one.
Sean's...
This isn't the category about which lends itself to the best movie.
It could be. It's a draw, because I can't call the difference. Sean, your point about the lurch away from what people have kind of pejoratively described as wokeism, right? And then gone lurch back because Trump's in. 5 weeks later, here we are. You know, it's just incredible. So it's ridiculous. But on your story, Michael, it's just so much fantasy about it, and that North Korea was behind it.
Yeah, biggest heist in history.
It's
But none
incredible.
of that's a surprise.
Well,
I think it's going to be behind it.
Russia, a private
Yeah.
criminal group.
So
Vlad.
Russia or North Korea or China.
Or take take your pick of a bunch of them.
Well, it used to be Ukraine was heavily involved in this, didn't it?
This is
It used to be Ukraine. Before the war, there was a lot of illegal
Before we
activity
really
there.
liked Ukraine, when it was called the Ukraine, that's when it was like that. Now it's Ukraine and we love them.
Look, I appreciate getting half a point, but the winner of the most ridiculous category is your judging, Adam.
Thank you.
In fact, let's go 1-1-1. If you're happy to
also
stand
had a
with
win.
me on this, Michael.
I'm happy. Let's take a stand.
1-1-1. You have a
okay.
point.
Okay.
You got the
Thank
point
you.
for the most ridiculous decision because I should have won that. Okay, final
Famous
story.
story.
Let's race
Go
through
for it,
this
Michael.
one. The most watched tech stock in the world, and arguably the most important right now, reported its results this week. Chipmaker Nvidia, right? Its sales for the 3 months to the end of January were up.
Because you really killed this story. It's sales for the 3
Sales.
months to the end of January.
But
Right.
what I want to do is just get an idea of just how big these numbers
scale.
are. The scale. This is extraordinary. And I know I've used this word probably like 4 or 5 times already. So I'll say staggering instead.
Ridiculous almost.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Up 78% on prior year to $39.3 billion US dollars. A whopping, a massive amount of money. Do you know what that equates to? I'm going to tell
What,
you.
money?
Yes.
Pretty well familiar with it, yeah.
You know
No,
what?
no, give him a chance. He's done the maths.
I've done the maths
He's
here,
done the maths.
brother.
Give him a break.
$427 million US dollars a day.
How much?
$427
Tell
million
us.
US dollars a day. This is extraordinary, right? And the thing that makes it even more extraordinary, the result beat expectations, right? It actually came in better than analysts had expected. They'd been expecting about 38.1 billion US dollars, came in at 39.3 billion. And yet there was still talk that Wall Street had wanted an even bigger demolition of the target. And the share price actually dropped because of the looking ahead to the future, what is going to be possible. It is my favorite story, right? Because this is just such a fascinating company and it is such an important company as well. And this is, and we saw it recently in the last month or so experience its first real challenge with the arrival of DeepSeek, the Chinese AI company on the scene. AI is booming, right? AI is just staggering how much. And we talked all throughout the week. Sean, you talked in particular a lot throughout the week about the Magnificent Seven tech stocks going into correction kind of zone phase. Territory. There we go. I was like, there's a word here. It'll come to you eventually. It didn't come to me. Thank you, Sean. Led by a plunge in Tesla stocks. But those numbers from Nvidia just show that while the Magnificent Seven might have lost some of its shine, there is just so much demand for AI. And it is staggering.
Can I tell you my favourite story?
Please.
Just move on.
I thought I was so prepared for that.
There is just one great story this week, really. The stolen golden saga story. The stolen golden toot.
From Blenheim Palace.
From Blenheim Palace, the thieves who stole the gold toot, worth £4.8 million. That's nearly 10 million Aussie. They stole it from Blenheim Palace. Do you know why Blenheim Palace is famous, Adam?
Yeah, Winston Churchill's home.
Yes, he married an English
And it
woman.
also had a gold toilet.
That was later on.
Briefly.
Yeah, there you go.
Very briefly, that's the point. 5 men are accused of stealing the 18-carat gold toilet from the stately home west of London just days after it was installed. So it was only actually in there for a little while. But it was installed as an artwork in September 2019. What I love about this story is they installed it as an artwork and then fully plumbed it. So if it's an artwork,
Yes.
why would you put the plumbing in? That's
Well, art can have function.
Yeah, it's meant to be used. Real
Would you
art.
sit on a golden
No,
can?
I couldn't.
No.
But I love the fact that you could actually book in to do it. Like as part of the, you could book in a 3-minute appointment to go.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you could.
To use it.
Yeah. And so that's when these guys that were casing the joint, look at me
Wow.
using the terminology, they would like book in,
the heist.
they booked in for these appointments and were taking photos of like the hinges on the doors and things like that using those appointments.
And the person making the bookings are like, They've obviously had something nasty for dinner.
They made
They're back
14
again.
bookings.
Anyway, it's alleged the 5 men drove through locked wooden gates. So they just smashed through them into the grounds of Blenheim Palace early in the morning, the two stolen vehicles, got there at 5 a.m., drove across a field, up the front steps, smashed and broke in through a window, then broke down the wooden door in the cubicle where the toilet was.
So they weren't particularly subtle about it, were they?
They just drove through the gates, drove across the lawn, ran up the stairs, smashed a window, jumped in, knocked down the door, grabbed at the toot.
Why did they bother casing the joint? It was essentially a ram raid.
And that's exactly what it was. And the detail, in the court case, so, they stole it, leaving water pouring out of the pipes. And then they drove away. Now, the sad thing is we're never going to find it back. It's been cut down or melted down or whatever you do and sold. The court case continues.
Sterilised.
I'm not sterilized.
I would hope so. Imagine getting a wedding ring made out of toilet. No?
That had 3-minute occupants.
Yeah. But how many people
golden teeth.
Oh, favourite story. Adam, over to you.
Such a tough battle. I'm going to give it to NVIDIA. The stolen golden toilet, also could be another movie script, brilliant, but such a discreet story as it's in economic impact of that story. It's not enormous.
God, you're dull sometimes, Adam. I mean, fair income. This is like favourite story.
I think I do dull pretty well.
You're worried about sales per second or something or other, which is Michael's crapping on about. I'm just talking about a golden toot. Loosen up. Get rid of that. It's a Saturday morning. Why have you got a tie on? Get rid of it.
Got to function.
Well, I don't care. Get rid of the tie, loosen up, and enjoy a fun story on a Saturday morning about a golden toot rather than $42,000 a second order.
What kind of Saturday function do you go to that requires you to wear a full suit?
It's got to be a wedding.
Businessy function.
It's got to be a wedding.
Is it like
then there's some sort of more salubrious occasion. Yes.
the polo?
Never been to the polo.
Really?
No.
Oh.
Really, man?
Not really my vibe.
After I last saw Blenheim Palace and did a tinkle,
Went
I
to the
popped off
chucker.
to the...
I won.
Yeah.
You did? Oh, my God.
Sweet mother of pearl. I've done it.
See, pearls would be at the polo, wouldn't they? There'd be a lot of pearls.
Yes. As in like the neck, like
Yes, the necklace.
not the name.
Oh, well, some of the older ladies could be a pearl.
Yeah.
I assumed you meant the name.
The twin set
now
and
they
pearls?
could,
Yeah.
the twin set and the pearls, yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so 2-1-1.
2-1-1.
What was the point score, just so I can fully bask in this?
Okay. Look, it's an even more rare event. Sean, 89 points. Michael, 91 points.
Ooh.
He's won on points as well.
I'm speechless.
So am I.
That is that's a good result. Look, I think everyone this is a win for the people.
I think the objective bias thing about the sales versus the golden toot, I'm going to hold that with me for a long, long time.
Yeah, that
Adam.
might scar a bit.
Thank you, Adam, for your judging today.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael. To you, Adam.
To you, Sean. Thank you.
Make sure you're following the podcast and please join us online on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was Fear and Greed. Have a great weekend.